TrolleyDave here. Welcome to TrolleyDave's Film Corner, where I mostly discuss horror films, but do discuss other genres and topics that take my fancy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a film that might not make it onto your radar or playlist, Horror in the High Desert 3, Firewatch, which can be found for rental on Amazon Prime Video in both the US and the UK at the moment for around $3 or $4 or pounds. As you can probably tell from the title, it's the third film in a series, with Horror in the High Desert being the first and Horror in the High Desert 2, Minerva being the second. All three films are written and directed by Dutch Marek and done in the style of a faux documentary or mockumentary, something along the lines of the Poughkeepsie tapes for those familiar with that one. The first film from 2021 tells us the story of Gary Hinge, a man that went missing in the Nevada desert in 2017. It paints the picture of the mystery of what happened through its documentary style, blending found footage with interviews with people that knew Gary. In part 2, the story of two women, one who went missing and one who is found dead, is told. Part 2 uses the same blend of faux documentary or mockumentary and found footage to tell the story of the women, and the possible links to the disappearance in the first film. Unsurprisingly, Part 3 continues the trend of using a faux documentary or mockumentary style.
Oscar began his journey on his own social media. 4 weeks later, he vanished.
With interviews of family members and friends and experts.
This is where Gary may have found the cabin.
And tells us the story of Oscar Mendoza, played brilliantly by Marco Antonio Pera.
Here's the proof. I'm here. See what I find.
Oscar is a vlogger who has set out in search of Gary Hinge's last known whereabouts. Once again, found footage style film is blended with the faux documentary style in order to weave its narrative. As with the first two films, it's blended perfectly. Interviews are used to paint a picture of Oscar along with the mystery surrounding Gary Hinge's disappearance. We get to know and like Oscar through both the interviews and the found footage sequences. As with the other two films, the pacing is slow, but it's pretty steady, continually building up a sense of dread and continually building towards Oscar's fate. The emptiness and loneliness of the desert adds a sort of sense of existential dread. It plays as big of a part in the film as any of the actors do, really. The acting from all involved is fantastic. A lot of the time in a low-budget mockumentary like this, the actors that are chosen to portray family members just don't quite get it right. That the acting is bad can add to the sense of realism, but in some cases it sort of detracts from it too. In all three of the Horror in the High Desert films, though, you feel as though you are watching a documentary and watching real family members, which really draws me into the atmosphere it's trying to create and draws me into the story and the film. And the same can be said of the found footage segments in Part 3 also. Of course, it's not all sunshine and roses. There is one element of the film that I can see will have a love or hate effect when it comes to people watching it. There are plenty of scenes in the film where tension is built up, and then that tension is released without any kind of gratification and without the scene going anywhere. What I mean by that is something like this. During certain scenes, techniques for building up to a jump scare are used. But where the conventional jump scare might happen in another film, in this one the scene will just kind of peter out or end with nothing happening, and this gets repeated many times. This is something that I'm not sure that everyone will appreciate. Personally, I really enjoyed this aspect of it because it allows for some other cool things to happen later in the film. It allows for moments where your guard is let down for scenes where it would normally be put up. However, I can see this also having a negative impact on some people's viewing experience. It can be kind of tiresome and also kind of boring, I would imagine. Both me and my partner Emma love that aspect of it though. But it really isn't for everybody, and this isn't a criticism of the people who won't or don't appreciate something like that. I really can understand that kind of criticism, but I found it clever and different and kind of refreshing, to be honest. The biggest question in any sort of review or recommendation video like this, though, is should you watch it? So, should you watch it? Well, if you were a big fan of the first two films, then you definitely should. This is a continuation of the story and of the lore. The acting and directing is on the same level, and it has the same kind of quality of the first couple of films. Though with regards to its originality, you'll probably find that it feels a lot like the first film, with much of the same kind of thing going on. Though there is more of a focus on the found footage in this one. And like I say, it attempts something new with regards to the building of atmosphere. As with the other two films, it makes great use of its actors and its filming techniques and very much of its budget. It's definitely worth a try as long as you go in knowing that some of its filming techniques will have you either loving or hating it. If you didn't like the second one, then you might not enjoy this third one. If you've never seen either of the first two, then you may enjoy this one, but I would recommend going out and finding the first one. It's a slightly superior film, and I think one that more people would enjoy. So go check them out first, and if you enjoy them, then give this one a try. Before I wrap this one up though, I'll suggest going and checking out the review from the channel Guest of Horror that he released recently. He feels the opposite of what I do about this film, and hearing both will give you a balanced view before you decide to spend your money on it. Anyway, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give it a like if you found it useful, and a share if you think somebody else might. And maybe a subscribe if you think you might enjoy more content from me. Any one of the three will help me out, and all three would be pretty amazing. If you've seen the film, then leave me a comment down below letting me know what your thoughts on it are. I love hearing different perspectives on films like this. And don't forget that I also have another channel simply called TrolleyDave, where I talk about things like philosophy if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Take care, see you soon. Until then, I hope life treats you well. Bye.